We have two amazing guests. They are a married couple, and from a tragedy, they have really seen triumph because they made a decision to just obey God no matter what. They listened to the Great Commission, and doors have opened. And so it's a delight today to have Mike and Deb Gilbert from One City Ministries in Uganda. And we want to hear their story, how God got you ready, prepared you. But beforehand, can we all just go to Uganda for a minute and just see a little bit of the work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In sub-Saharan Africa, a child dies of malaria every 30 seconds. We were losing children all under the age of 5. We'd lose 2 or 3 a week.
People ask us a lot why we're in Uganda.
We started to uncover things that just need to be dealt with.
Sometimes there are 8 hours a day is spent in just collecting the water that they need for the day.
You go out, you walk in the dark to wherever the water source is. Could be a borehole, could be a stream, but it's dangerous.
If I get the chance of talking to Sarah, I would thank her that please may God bless you abundantly.
When I go into the village and I watch the women cook, I personally cannot walk into one of their kitchens. I can't breathe. Immediately, I cannot breathe. And they're in there weeping. I mean, it's hurting their eyes, and you can hear people coughing, but it's something that they have to do.
We are having a medical clinic. The people in the community have been helped. What Deb and Mike did has been wonderful. Thank you very much.
So we found, obviously, HIV as a big critical factor. We saw a lot of malaria. And then we saw a lot of typhoid. There's need here. There's needs that need to be addressed.
When you're with the people, it's not just a picture. And you're with people, and you're seeing people starving, and you're seeing people dying.
That was kind of a need for us to understand what we're facing. You can't walk into a dark room and face enemy. You got to put light on it. We want to work through the people, not just to the people, and empower them and bring them up.
It was like we got to this place of surrender, you know? The bottom falls out of your world, and you're in that place that only God can heal.
It has an impact on you, a long, deep impact.
Wow. Well, what you just saw was just a little sneak peek and glimpse into an absolute miracle. 23 acres, pastors and medical centers and growing gardens and equipping and children and help and healing and answers and solutions, all the heart of Jesus, all part of the Great Commission, all so admirable and so beautiful. My husband and I were married in South Africa, so, you know, those scenes just bring back such joy. He went every single year for like 25 years. I think COVID was the first year he didn't go, and did, you know, Youth with a Mission and youth camps and camp meetings, and the people there are amazing. They are just... There's a part and a piece of God in them that nobody else in the world has.
I agree.
And so I understand why you keep going back and you haven't left. But one thing I'd just love for you to tell, put in context about prior to you letting the Lord birth this ministry through you is the why. What motivated you? What happened and transpired where you let go of every comfortable thing in this life, everything you knew, to go and obey the call in leap of faith, blind obedience?
Well, thank you, Jen. First of all, your husband hasn't been to Uganda yet.
No,
We'll
you
keep
got
the
to
lights on, so.
yes, take him. He is a missionary man.
Yes, he would love it there, and you're right about the people. Absolutely. It was birthed back in a tragedy, quite honestly. We lost our 18-year-old son in a overdose, and that was extremely painful. But going through that process was a shift in our eternal perspective. And all those trappings we had here, the big house on the lake, and all that stuff meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So when God gives you that insight, you respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after Sean's death, which I know was a huge defining moment in your calling, how did God speak to you both? And then how did you get an agreement and then actually say, okay, we're going to go. We're just going to walk on the water?
Actually, I spoke to you first.
Yes. I mean, Mike had been saying for years he wanted to go to the mission field, and I thought he was crazy because I had no desire to be on the mission field. It was crazy. And so after Sean passed away, I was in his room one day and just kind of sharing with God how I had Sean's box of ashes and just sharing how, God, this is all I have left of my son, this box of ashes. And God spoke to me as if he were right in the room and said, everything here becomes ashes. That's not the important thing. And then said, you're going to Africa. And I said, okay, like I responded and walked out the bedroom door, and Mike was standing there. Go ahead.
Well, that was a defining moment. When she said we're going to go to Africa, actually my heart jumped for joy.
Yeah.
I come from a long line of African pastors and missionaries.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of my DNA and my blood. Just previous to that, I had a ministry called the Christian Emergency Response Force, which was a bunch of pastors and chaplains who wanted to go into disaster scenes like Katrina.
Yeah.
Well, that opened doors to a lot of different avenues, and one of the avenues was the Homeland Security, which when she told me that, I said, I'm going to find out if this is real. And I know that if I do the litmus test, if I put the lambskin under the it'll define itself. So I said, guys, what do you know about Africa? What do you know about different places? Well, they sent me a big stack of paperwork with red flags all over it, and especially Uganda, because that was the Lord's Resistance Army at that time. So I showed it to Debbie, and knowing that she is a homebody with 72 degrees and no
71
bugs,
and a half.
71 and a half, no bugs, I figured, well, this is if it's God, she won't have a problem with this, and she had no problem with it.
Wow.
But that was the start.